All right, for more on the implications, let's bring in Gabor Lukács. He's an air passenger rights advocate. He's in Halifax today. Good to see you. Thanks for taking the time.
Good afternoon.
What do you make of what Sunwing has announced?
Passengers are clearly suffering as a result because getting a new flight now is quite a challenge. Sunwing is required to rebook these passengers on flights of other airlines or pay for such rebookings when it is at all possible. Sunwing cannot just walk away from its obligation to transport passengers. It has taken their money, it has entered into a contract with the passengers, so a deal is a deal.
In terms of why the company is doing this, I wonder, Gabor, maybe it's because they realize, everything that happened back in December and they just cannot handle this many flights. If something goes wrong, they're going to be in a lot of trouble and they do not want a repeat of that. So better to be safe than sorry, so to speak, by rolling back some of their flights from certain parts of Canada. I mean, is that what you think may be going on here, just in terms of what this strategy is here in canceling these Atlantic Canada flights?
I'm not sure if these are the reasons. I'm a bit skeptical. I would love to see the actual numbers of passengers who were booked on each one of these canceled flights. There is a strong appearance that Sunwing may not have had the necessary demand and that the flights were not filling up as they were hoping for, on the one hand. The other possibility is that they did not have the appropriate staffing and they don't have the necessary number of crew and pilots to operate these flights, and they nevertheless irresponsibly sold the tickets on these flights. Now, either way, it is Sunwing's poor business decision that is causing these cancellations, and they will have to compensate passengers, not just giving them a refund, but they will have to pay for alternate transportation for these passengers. What I'm finding most troubling about this story is that Sunwing is trying to walk away from its obligations to passengers by merely issuing a refund, which is just a small fraction of the cost that these passengers are going to incur when they rebook on an Air Canada or a WestJet flight.
In terms of the obligations, let me ask you about communication, because as an airline passenger rights advocate, just how poor the communication can be, not just from Sunwing, but other airlines when things go wrong. We've heard that some passengers in the prairies, were informed about, these flights being canceled on social media. There wasn't really the kind of outreach that you would expect when you're paying hundreds of dollars to a company for a service. What does that mean, do you think? What obligations does Sunwing have in terms of, informing people of all this, Gabor?
Under the air passenger protection regulations, Sunwing was required to notify the passengers. And that means by email. Social media is nice, it's a nice additional layer, but it doesn't absolve Sunwing from the obligation to notify passengers properly. Also, if Sunwing failed to notify passengers at least 14 days before the flight, then the passenger can also seek a $500 compensation from Sunwing for the cancellation on top of being rebooked on flights of other airlines. One more point on that. Sunwing may claim that it is a small carrier and therefore it may dispute that it has to rebook passengers. But that is actually incorrect because the passengers' rights in this case are governed by the international law, because it's our international flights, by the Montreal Convention, which is part of the Federal Carriage by Air Act. It's an act of parliament, and the air passenger protection regulations don't provide an exhaustive set of rights, not a complete code for passenger rights.
One last thing. I know Sunwing has received, 7,000 complaints or more because of all the holiday travel disruptions. What do you think the future holds for this company, Gabor, realistically speaking?
I don't have a crystal ball in front of me. Passengers do tend to be very forgetful, unfortunately, and I'm quite concerned that they may get away with this. This is one of the reasons why we are calling for synchronization, harmonization of Canada's passenger protection regime with the European Union's gold standard, and for meaningful and strict enforcement by way of penalties, fines payable by the airline on top of the compensation to passengers, because just the market, the competition may not be strong enough to result in change of behavior, while clearly everybody agrees that this should not be happening ever again.
Gabor, thanks for taking some time for CTV. As always, we appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.